We got to air it out. Let's air it out. So we got to air it out. Let's air it out. So
how do you say that? Air it out? Air it out?
Air it out.
That intro gets me just about every time. What is going on, football fans? Welcome back to another edition of the Air It Out podcast presented by Inside Hashes. My name is Juan Pablo Guinea Camargo, and I'm joined in a StreamYard call, almost filled with experts in football here today. I got Avery Collins right below me, and I got Mr. Darren Braxton to my left. What is up, you guys?
What's going on? Big Trust in the building.
How you guys doing? I want to give a shout out to two of my high school friends that passed this past Sunday. One was laid to rest this morning. Marcus Thompson, James Gist. RIP, fellas. Love you guys much.
Sorry. Deeply sorry for your loss, Avery. How you holding up?
I'm good, man. It's a natural process of life. I have peace knowing that they were two outstanding gentlemen. They loved their kids. Like it just emitted from them. Like you could see, they love their children. They love their family. They were loved by many as well. So they left a good impact. Sad that they had to go so young, but at the same time, I know that God has a infinite plan, and we just got to kind of submit to it.
Couldn't agree more, man.
Exactly.
How are you doing, Darren? I know we had the week off last week because of our Senior Bowl coverage that we did down there in Mobile, which was one heck of a time facing myself. But how you been, Darren? What's going on with you?
I'm not doing too bad. Just working with these kids at my new job as a high school teacher. It's interesting. I'm learning that these kids are hilarious, man. They're not bad at all. I have a couple guys that I can sit back and just talk to, and it's all good, man.
You fall in love with them, man. You fall in love with them every time.
Teaching is its own, man. Like just knowing that you can connect with someone so young and introduce them to the world that's going on, it's its own reward.
It's always funny hearing. It's always funny having to talk to the other Darren.
Wait, who's the other Darren?
One of my students.
So I want to apologize for coming in a little bit late today. I know we're like an hour late to start the show, but had a bit of a family emergency to deal with. Long story short, my dad got stranded at a 21 kids. Oh, yeah, but my dad got stranded at a CVS pharmacy just a couple blocks away from like my house. And being that I'm quarantined away from my home because of New Jersey law telling me that I had to stay away from my family or sequester myself until I test negative 4 days after having come back. I had to go out. I had to go pick up the keys that he needed because it's an electric car. So it needs the separate key to do it. He forgot the key at home and it couldn't start without it. So I had to go to my house, pick up the key, and try not to touch my dad and give him the key and come back in time. And whack it at it in the middle of traffic.
Patrick Mahomes, you got to pull a Patrick Mahomes. You just
I can't do it left-handed, just like I'm in the left driver's seat, just like like he's gonna end up in a drain somewhere.
Hey, listen, you can pull a Michael Vick. Everybody knows Mike. Well, most people don't know actually. Michael Vick is actually right-handed, but he throws lefty.
That is the most incredible thing. I knew that, but it's just still so incredible. Like, imagine if he was ambidextrous, like an ambidextrous quarterback.
Yeah, I think
the more you know.
The only way Patrick Mahomes can get so perfect is if he becomes ambidextrous.
I mean, we've seen him throw left hand passes in the game.
It wouldn't be fair.
It just would not be fair, guys. We're going to touch on Patrick Mahomes and that whole thing going on in just a bit. But, right now we're going to jump into our news segment here today. And since it's only the three of us today, we're only going to cover the top two news topics that we have here. The first one is a little bit out of left field. So current football Hall of Famer Brett Favre has always been revered as a king and a dominant force on the field, but off of it, the Packer all-time great has found himself in hot water once again. During an interview with Yahoo Sports on Wednesday, Favre offered his comments on Texas quarterback Deshaun Watson's trade standoff situation with Houston, saying, quote, "You get paid a ton of money to do a certain job and just do it and let the chips fall where they may. I think we make too much money to voice an opinion, but I'm not saying he's wrong. I think it's a different day and time, and it'll be interesting to see how the organization handles it." Many have compared Favre's comments to that of Fox News opinion host Laura Ingraham when she gave her thoughts on the NBA social justice protests back in 2019, her infamous shut up and dribble comments during that time. Then moving into our last topic for the rundown today, Carson Wentz trade calls, guys. Doug Peterson may have left the building, but the controversy that him, Howie Roseman, I think it's Howie Roseman, and Carson Wentz have created together in the city of brotherly love has not left yet. Specifically, there have been multiple teams that have been calling Philadelphia in earnest, looking to try to trade for the former 2016 second overall pick. Even though Philly has been adamant about keeping Wentz in Philly, the prospect of trading him would spark a dead cap charge of $33.819 million, which is actually lower than the $34.67 million cap charge Wentz currently carries into 2021. And guys, that'll wrap up our very quick rundown today because we got a lot to cover here on this edition of the Air Out Podcast. But, real quick comments. First, Avery, I know you might have some words for Brett Favre from what he said. I need no more to say.
Well, as far as Brett Favre, obviously his comments essentially doing with the climate right now can seem insensitive. The difference, though, that I see with Brett Favre as opposed to the Tommy Lauren that you referenced, her statements, that was more
Laura Ingraham, but you can exchange it for Tommy Lauren.
Basically, same person. But the difference is there. It was more of a pointed remark where, shut up and dribble. I don't want to hear any of this crap as a fan. Now, Brett Favre is saying from experience, this is my preference. I don't think we should say anything. I think as a former athlete who's been at the highest level of this game, as a former athlete who's been through all of these systems, who's gone through all of the whatever, I don't think that we should have a say in certain things. But, and this is why I like what he said toward the end. He said, but there was a caveat. He said, listen, but times have changed. He understands. It's not the same NFL that I played in. And he never really even said that he had a problem with it. He's like you said, he didn't say he was wrong. He's like, I'm not saying he's wrong. He's just saying my personal opinion. And for that, I respect Brett Favre for understanding and making sure it was clear. This is my personal opinion. I have no issue with you feeling that way. I don't agree with you, Brett Favre, but he doesn't agree with Deshaun Watson, and that's okay. And we have to learn to agree to disagree. I have no ill will toward Brett Favre. He's still one of the greatest players, still one of my favorite players. I have no problem with his statements at all.
Darren, any quick thoughts on Brett Favre's comments? You're muted, my man.
Sorry, that should have been a no comment. Very, very simple. You understand what the media does. You've been in this business for 20 some odd years. You understand that they're going to twist your words up and make it seem something that it may not be. So when you started off your comment saying what you did, that's what everyone's going to roll with. And you know this, Brett. So I felt like it should just be no comment if that's how you were going to address it. As David said, though, I don't have a problem with what he said in the full context of it, but it should have just been no comment, and this wouldn't even have been an issue.
Brett Favre is a quarterback that's no stranger to controversy, and now so is Carson Wentz. And with the trade rumors surrounding the I'm going to say fifth-year vet now, we can qualify him as a fifth-year vet going into it. I guess, Darren, what is a good trade package for Carson Wentz? And then Avery, oh my God, Jerome just spamming the comments with the fire hat. Howie. You can't trade. You can't pull a John Gruden and trade an executive / coach. I don't think, because anyone would want Howie Roseman, especially with his history of drafting receivers. But anyway, so Darren, what would you say is the trade package needed for Carson Wentz and Avery from the perspective of a player? Like, is it in Carson Wentz's best interest to leave? I'll start with Darren and then go to Avery.
So it's very interesting when you think of a trade package for Carson Wentz because of the cap hit he will be taking for the Eagles. The Eagles will be really, really wanting something back if they're going to have to take that type of cap hit. But I do think it is possible for Carson Wentz to be traded. And I think you're going to be looking at somewhat of a haul of a Matthew Stafford without the third rounder. And I think that's what Howie and the guys in the Eagles front office are really looking to pull. At least 2 first rounders for Carson Wentz. At the very minimum. Now, I do believe if the situation calls for it and it becomes strenuous and more tumultuous like the situation over in Houston, I feel as though he can go for less than a first. But currently at this time, I feel like if Carson Wentz is to be traded, you're going to need at least 2 first rounders.
2 first-round picks, same before what Matthew Stafford went for Jared Goff in that trade, which we'll touch on later in just a bit. Avery.
Well, as far as like from a former player's standpoint, I mean, I think yes, a change of scenery it can help in certain situations. But I think more importantly, I think it depends on the player, right? It depends on the makeup. Well, the person. It depends on the makeup of the person, because it seems like Carson. If these reports are in fact true, because I've never spoken to Carson Wentz, so I don't know if these reports are even even true. But if he does one out and different things like that, to me it shows a lack of competitiveness. Number one. A lack of that dog, and then a lack of being able to be a franchise quarterback. And to me, I don't know if any team, especially with the cap hit, I don't know if any team is willing to make that trade, because essentially this is how I look at it. If you are saying I want out because I'm not feeling that, what happens when you face adversity in a new city? You can't have that. Not from the leader of your franchise. You cannot have that. You've got to look the people in the eye and say, no, I don't want to be traded. I'm going to compete. I want my spot back. That's what I want. That's what you want from a franchise quarterback. We're not talking about receiver. We're not talking about running back. We are talking about a quarterback. The guy who gets all the praise and none of the blame. You're talking about this guy. That guy. So if you're going to be that, you got to step out in front of it. And so as a GM, I'd be like, I don't know if I want that.
If the Deshaun Watson trade saga has taught us anything, is that any quarterback, no matter how big the contract, is tradable at the right price. Darren, real quick thoughts before we jump in.
Yeah. So real quick, the Colts are the only team I truly see possibly pulling this off, and I'll explain why really fast. They already traded with a first round pick for DeForest Buckner, and they seen what happened on defense, and then with the connection of Frank Reich, I think he truly believes he can make Carson Wentz into that MVP caliber guy again. They can trade their first this year, a second, and a third next year. And watch Carson Wentz can possibly
get mad and spend anything what Carson say anyway. True that, Chris, and that's coming from an Eagles fan. Like if the Eagles fans, let me put it this way: if Eagles fans still hold a candle and support Carson Wentz for everything that's been going on, then I have to believe that in Carson's heart, it's not him that's saying all these topics. It's his agent trying to find a way to get him either a better opportunity in a bigger market, which hard to do when you're operating out of Philly, or just trying to get the organization to kind of bend to Carson a little bit more. So
to be honest, I agree. It doesn't sound like things that Carson would say. I want to be traded. Oh, I don't want to. Like I really don't. But as far as not a cliche choice, cliche choices, I think either Denver or Chicago could be good trade partners. You got defenses already intact, and depending on Chicago's what they do in the draft with receivers, they got some pieces over there. Denver, we know Cortland Sutton's coming back. We saw Jerry Jeudy is pretty good. Noah Fant, I mean, I can see it.
I'll say a dark horse candidate, even though they got to figure out how they're going to take care of the cap situation should they move on from their current guy. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's another good one.
And remember, Carson was part of that big quote unquote QB heavy class 2016 that featured him, Dak Prescott, and our first topic of today, Mr. Jared Goff, the former number 1 overall pick, who, as was announced while we were down at the Senior Bowl last week, he was traded along with 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick for Matthew Stafford to the Detroit Lions, guys. And it is quite the heavy trade. So we finally see what it takes to trade a minimal star quarterback from where he is currently positioned. It took 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick to take Matthew Stafford out of Detroit and into a quote-unquote winning situation down in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, Jared Goff is coming into Detroit with 2 of the top weapons leaving already in Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones, with a new head coach in Dan Campbell and a new front office that's still trying to get everything under their feet. But overall, guys, this is one of the biggest blockbuster trades of the last 10 years or so. There's never been a quarterback for quarterback switch, at least in my recent memory, that I've ever seen go down like this. So I'm going to throw it over to Avery first, man. Your thoughts on the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade?
Man, oh man. I'm happy actually for both guys. Reason being, Matthew Stafford gets a chance to actually compete in his division. And he's got some weapons there, right? And those guys are the type of targets that Matthew Stafford likes. He's got a decent potentially running game. I think they're probably even as far as run game, but I think the Rams will have a better running game moving forward into next year. So yeah, I think Matthew Stafford deserves this opportunity to compete. I mean, we all agreed his talent was being wasted in Detroit, right? It was just year after year after year of I'm putting the numbers up. I'm throwing 30 touchdowns. I'm throwing 4,000 yards. My interception ratio isn't extremely high, but we can't do anything. 1, because I compete in a division with Aaron Rodgers and yada, yada, yada. But 2, for 6 years straight, I didn't have a 100-yard rusher. Our defenses were horrible. They could not stop a nosebleed. So it's like I appreciate the fact that he gets the chance to play, and I appreciate the fact that Jared Goff gets a chance to show if he really is the guy or not, right? Were you just a product of McVay's system, or can you go and ball out? Can you get busy? And if you can do those things, I like it because it shows that a young and up and quarterback can go to a new system and really thrive. And then it shows what I've been saying for a while: Goff over Wentz. But anyway.
And for the cap hits for both teams to take, especially, quite significant. Detroit gets the better end of the deal in a monetary fashion because they don't have to pay the guaranteed salary that Goff is going to hit Los Angeles with. Goff leaves a dead cap hit with Los Angeles of about $43.325 million. So he is really depleting the Rams out of a lot of capital to try to invest into trying to build an already aging defense and an offense that still needs a couple more weapons to shore it up. Meanwhile, for Goff, the debate is whether or not he can, like you said, Avery, be that guy and be that dude that show that he isn't a product of the system, or he'd be like a Teddy Bridgewater and serve as a bridge quarterback for whatever Detroit decides to do in the upcoming NFL draft. Darren, ultimately, let's both of these guys have 2 years left on their contract respectively. Let's fast forward a little bit 2 years. Who comes out of the winner in this situation?
If the Rams do not win the Super Bowl, it's the Lions. Hands down. The Lions get now a bunch of draft capital, and they have a franchise guy that they view as a franchise guy already in the building. And now armed with 2 first rounders this year, they can give him weapons around him as well. The defense for Detroit will be shaped correctly within the next 2 years. that regime knows they need to get that defense handled. And if they can do that with TJ Hockenson on the offense already, they can get the number one wide receiver and someone like Jamar Chase this upcoming draft. And they already had DeAndre Swift in the backfield. That team is set with guys that can really do damage on offense. So Detroit knows how to get the defense together, and the Rams do not get to the Super Bowl and win easily the Lions.
Matthew Stafford, honestly, has arguably put up great numbers over his time in Detroit. Arguably, in some years, MVP level numbers, if I'm not mistaken. 5,000 yards quite a few times, over 30 plus touchdowns. He's a severely underrated quarterback, and if he can thrive in the limelight of Los Angeles, could we, just a quick yes or no, could we see a potential MVP season for Matthew Stafford?
Yes.
It had to be year 2, but yes.
It had to be year 2, so final year of his contract, which would be pretty good for Los Angeles should they be able to build around him. And, that's MVP talk for another time down the line. But right now we're focusing on MVP talk for right now, you guys. We are now entering in what I like is my favorite part of this show today is the NFL honor prediction for the Air It Out podcast. And gentlemen, we have a good list of awards to go through. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 categories to go through. We'll go through them as quickly as we can, but we'll give each one the right amount to go through. So the first thing we're going to start off with is the Air Player of the Year, because we got to air it out to start it out. So first thing we got to do here is who is the Air Player of the Year. This is usually awarded to the top passer in the year of 2020. You got Aaron Rodgers, you got Tom Brady, you got Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. 4 guys in the nomination. Avery, who would you give it to real quick?
So I would like a request. I would like to give my picks before Darren, because he's got the list of the winners. So I would like to give my picks before he gives the actual winners. So mine would be Josh Allen. Reason being, he had Stephon Diggs lead the league in receiving. And everybody said, okay, well, Josh Allen hasn't thrown over 300 yards in his NFL career. Josh Allen isn't extremely accurate. Josh Allen, And you saw what this man did? He went out there and got so much better. I mean, you're talking about a guy who potentially could win another award that's on this list. I'm not going to spoil it just in case he did win, but I mean, it's kind of ridiculous what he did. And like I said, nobody expected Stephon Diggs to lead the league in receiving. And so for me, and on top of the fact, like I said, it's not just Stephon Diggs. Cole Beasley had almost 1,000 yards. So we're talking about he was spreading the ball around. For me, and if I remember correctly, I think they had the most touchdowns this year of 40 plus yards or 50 plus yards. So I would have to say it's Josh Allen.
Okay. I know you have the list of winners, Darren, but let's just pretend you don't know. Who did you hope would win?
Oh, see, I filled out the survey just like everyone else.
Yeah,
I'm only going to tell you,
company-wide.
I'm only going to tell you my choices for my picks. So my pick for Air Player of the Year, easy, Aaron Rodgers. The man was an absolute stud. Come on. I love Josh Allen. I did. But I'll be honest, I wasn't voting for him. Not after this season.
So
Good job, though, Josh. Good job.
Just to add a little transparency to how we did this tally. We polled everyone over at Inside the Hatches, all of our football experts, on who deserved each reward. It was 14 people that responded, and we have our results right here. I have them right here, not presented. So, Air It Out Player of the Year goes to Aaron Rodgers.
Ew.
Aaron Rodgers, he got 11 of 14 votes. He got he had over 78% of the vote.
Boo. Cliche. Go against the grain, people.
We go from airing it out to grounding it down, you guys. Now we move into the Ground Player of the Year, usually given to the NFL's top rusher, guys. And our nominees are Jonathan Taylor of the Colts, Aaron Jones of the Packers, Dalvin Cook of the Vikings, and Derrick Henry of the Tennessee Titans. So, usual order.
I think this one's pretty easy. We're going to just run it back. You saw what I did there. We're going to run it back to Derrick Henry, right? The premier running back this year. There's not much you can say. The guy, he went over 2,000 yards this year. He caught the ball at the backfield as well. I mean, he proved, he was like, no, this year, there's nobody better this year.
2,000 yards in the regular season, only 40 against your Ravens, Darren. So, is he your pick, or do you have someone else in mind?
2 lines. Heart and soul of Tennessee. 2K. What do you get? Derrick Henry.
Well, you guys, you are maybe some whizzes in the football world, because Derrick Henry also is the winner of the Ground Player of the Year, receiving again 78% of the votes here. So overwhelming winners on the first 2.
Not 100. People actually voted for somebody other than Derrick.
Yeah, actually, we had Dalvin Cook getting 1 vote and Aaron Jones getting 2.
Following the hype.
if that's how you want to see it, man, that's how you want to see it. Now, right now, those awards are given to the guys that really grinded it out this year and have been developing the reputation for being the top in their field. But what about the awards for the guys that are just starting out? And of course, we're talking about the offensive rookie and defensive rookie of the year awards. I'm going to combine these two together for you guys to give me the dual answer. So let it roll.
All righty. So real quick, I'm surprised neither one of you guys called me out. The first award, I say go against the grain. The second award, I picked the cliche guy in Derrick Henry. None of y'all called me out, but cool, whatever.
You can't fight Derrick Henry on this.
Hey, you have your opinions. You voiced them. We'll call it out when we start seeing bias. That's
Respect, guys. I appreciate it. Well, this one is biased, but it's also rooted in fact. So my offensive rookie of the year, I know Justin Jefferson had a phenomenal year. I know Justin Herbert. The Justins, they did their thing. But my offensive rookie of the year would have been Antonio Gibson. Absolutely nobody expected Antonio Gibson to do what he did this year. He played so well that the Washington football team decided, hey, we're going to get rid of a Hall of Fame running back in Adrian Peterson, who, granted, he's a shell of what he was previously, but still a serviceable back. You saw he got to Detroit and got a 100-yard game basically off the bat. And so he replaced that guy. He can catch the ball out the backfield. I mean, he did almost everything for that team. I think that he can be utilized moving forward if they're smart, like a Christian McCaffrey type player. He plays extremely well. So I'm appreciative of Antonio Gibson. He will be my offensive rookie of the year. Defensive, I wanted to go against the grain here. I did. I wanted to go against the grain here. I wanted to say Antoine Whitfield. I wanted to say Antoine Whitfield Jr. The reason being is because he played, like I said, I believe he was the best defensive back all around this year as far as rookies. But then I looked at it and I said, well, you got Carlton Davis. You got Levante David. You got JPP and Shaq Barrett. I mean, you've got some help on that side. And then I looked at the guy who's just the clear front runner. I'm like, nah, Chase Young literally changed the culture of that defense just by showing up. It's Chase Young. Very simple and plain. Chase Young had a phenomenal year. He changed the culture of that defense. He literally started striking fear in the eyes of offensive linemen, and he's going to be a problem moving forward.
Darren, I know you already know your winners, but give it in.
All right, so it's really, really simple for me. Offensive rookie of the year for me. I would like to say it's the JJ that everyone loves, but I'm going JH and Justin Herbert. I'm sorry. The guy was an absolute stud all year long.
He finished the year in absolute zero, 1,400. Not 1,401, not 1,399, 1,400.
Justin Herbert beat Peyton Manning out, beat Baker Mayfield, beat Russell Wilson, breaking that passing rookie touchdown record, and doing it with weapons and looking like a vet the entire time. dueling guys like Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and Drew Brees on a Monday night. Do we forget the 4 touchdowns he did to start off as a rookie? The guy was a stud. If they did not have him, I do not see Tyrod Taylor putting up those same numbers. I'm sorry.
You ever think that like if the special teams was better for the Chargers, they would have.
Oh yes, they would have won plenty more games. His record does not resemble what they actually did.
I would like to comment on the comment Jerome asked about Washington football team. Yeah, they got first rounders, but they're young and they have to gel, right? Like you saw what Chase Young did. Like he made that gel. He literally changed the tone. Antoine
he
Wilson,
gave the Joey Bosa effect.
Yeah, I was gonna say
the Nick Bosa effect.
Well, guys, look, we can argue about this all night if we could, but I'm gonna.
I just wanted to comment because he asked you a question, so I just had to respond.
I know.
Like Nick Bosa effect.
He wasn't the glue necessarily. That's the reason. I think that Chase was the glue.
Well, guys, we're seeing actually an upset alert on one of these awards. It looks like 1,400 man Mr. Justin Jefferson runs away with the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. 1 vote over Justin Herbert, but somehow there's a slot that says other. Please specify in the award. 2 people voted for that. Darren, who were the other 2?
Antonio Gibson.
So that's
and my man, the guy that no one wanted to talk about, but he made y'all talk about, Mr. James Robinson from
James
the
Robinson. Oh,
let's go. Listen, if he wasn't up there, I'm sorry, but the guy was an absolute stud this year. I'm very happy he was there. Oh, my pick for Defensive Player of the Year, a little bit biased, but stat stuffer came in, did what he had to do. Patrick Queen. Well, guy was an absolute stud, man. Well, he's going to be another one of the great Ravens linebackers.
Well, the dude wasn't even listed because it was actually Chase Young that ran away with at least 9 votes. So that's about 65% of the vote. Chase Young won the Defensive Rookie of the Year award. And then you had 2 votes for other. I'm guessing one of them was Patrick Queen for you. Who's the other one?
Patrick Queen.
I said Patrick Queen, but who was the other one?
Patrick Queen.
It was 2 votes for Patrick Queen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And see, I only did 1, so trust me. People understand. Patrick Queen was
it's probably another Ravens fan.
Give me. All right. All right. Yeah, fantasy owner effect. Yeah. I'll give it. I'll put it there, Drum. I'll put it there. Well, I'm combining 3 awards right now because it's kind of like the titular of all 3 facets of the game on the field is the Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Coach of the Year, guys. So start with defense, then offense, then coach. Go.
Defensive Player of the Year. I so wanted to go with TJ Watt, but I didn't. Didn't do it. I went with the beast, the animal, the dog. Whatever you want to call, whatever adjective can help you describe ferocity and just ferociousness and just downright getting dirty and you can't stop me. Aaron Donald was that all year. He was ridiculous. Oh my God. That's all I'm going to say.
Every time I think of Aaron Donald, I just think of Michael Irvin saying, "Mama, there goes that man."
That's it. That man. You already knew. You knew I was going to say Donald.
And your Offensive Player of the Year?
Offensive Player of the Year. Oh, man. This one was tough. There were a lot of there were a lot that I mean, okay, so the ones listed were very good choices. I actually, you know what? I can't even remember who I picked, but I believe I picked Patrick Mahomes. I could be wrong. But I think that's who I picked. It's not Julio.
Oh my God.
Not Julio.
Could have been Calvin Ridley if you wanted to.
No, excuse me. I'm sorry. I picked Stephon Diggs. That's who I picked. Stephon Diggs. That's who it was. I picked Stephon Diggs only because, again, I wasn't expecting him to do what he did with Josh Allen. Not to say Josh Allen is a slouch, but because of what we saw last year, wasn't expecting Josh Allen to develop as fast as they did. And then, obviously, I just felt like who was the other target? I thought that Stephon would get a lot more double teams, but even through that, he balled out. So that was my pick. And then coach of the year, easily Ron Rivera. And I really don't think I have to give an explanation as to why.
That's fair. Also, just a little note, I found out who was the other person that voted for Patrick Queen and Defensive Rookie of the Year, but I'm just going to keep that in-house, for not sake. Darren, quick, your picks.
So Defensive Player of the Year, I am going against the grain with this one, Avery, and this one is not one that a lot of people even say. Hassan Reddick, the man from the Cardinals, outside linebacker. They try to play him inside, they try to play him as a down guy, but play him at his position he played in college. Outside linebacker, let him get after the pass rusher, and the guy showed up this year. I just want to read you guys this. 63 total tackles, 12.5 sacks, 20 tackles for loss, 4 pass deflected, and 6 forced fumbles.
Five of those sacks came in one game, though. So
hey, the guy was a beast. And for someone that no one seen coming out of the Cardinals and taking over for an absolute stud in Chandler Jones, he balled out. So I'm giving him his credit where it's due. If we had the most improved player of the year, this guy deserves that award.
They should really add that award. I think that's what comeback player of the year is for, though.
Okay, so we didn't have a most improved player. Then that Josh Allen would have been my pick for that. Without question.
All right, but your offensive player of the year, though.
Oh, mine is actually a little bit surprising. I'm going with Avery on this one. Stephon Diggs was an absolute beast. You couldn't cover the man. 125 catches with a new team. And then you lead the league in receiving yards with a new quarterback, new team, no offseason. You couldn't cover him, period. When they said they couldn't guard Mike this year, they couldn't guard Stephon.
Apparently, Tre'Davious Ward and the Honey Badger could when it mattered, but we won't settle here over there. Moving in your coach of the year?
Kevin Stefanski. The Browns made the playoffs? Come on, people. The Browns made the playoffs. The Browns. They made the playoffs. And wait, they got a win in the playoffs. I understand they had all the talent in the world. Yes, we have to fire Howie.
Jerome being so salty right now. Like this wrong.
Listen,
I'm Kevin Stefanski getting the Browns, a team that has been universally known to kill their own chances. They made it. They got in.
No, he didn't.
They won.
No, he didn't. Mike Tomlin got the Browns to the playoffs. That's what he got. 2 teams to the playoff this year. First head coach ever to get 2 teams to the playoff.
My man Stefanski.
All right. So it was actually a pretty close race for 2 of these awards. I'll listen through. Offensive player of the year. It was a close race, but Devontae Adams ultimately ran away with it by 35% of the vote. So I'm surprised you didn't mention him. Yeah, it was between Devontae Adams, Travis Kelce, Stephon Diggs, Deshaun Watson, and Derrick Henry. The Watson one, very underrated. That was a dark horse.
I had to put him. I
loved Watson. I really wanted to pick Watson, but I was just like, man, it's just it didn't translate the wins. He played so good, it just didn't translate the wins, man.
That's why his name is up there at least.
Do that after losing DeAndre Hopkins, and just Will Fuller for what was it, the last 6 games of the year, 6 games a year,
half of the year.
Man, it's wow, Darren, that was a shot.
It's no wonder why he wants to leave Houston at that point.
Listen, I had to put him up there.
Defensive player of the year. It went to your boy Avery, Aaron Donald. Went to Aaron Donald with TJ Watt coming in at a close second, not too close though. It was only Donald beat him by just 2 votes, followed by a tie between Xavier Howard and Tyrann Mathieu. Devin White especially
had a year
and
9 sacks. 9 sacks on 140 tackles. That man was a problem.
Fact.
And he's not. Oh my god.
Honestly, for
Gotta
me,
get
I give my vote to Xavier Howard, just because I feel like the dude's been long overdue to be a top-rated safety in this league. I think he's just severely underrated, especially playing in a Miami market where no one really talks about it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that at all. I was gonna say double-digit picks
10.
at corner. That hasn't been done in I think it was 10 or 15 years or something like that.
They're just saying from one of our resident scouts, Mr. Jack Rout. Shout out to Jack over down in New Orleans. He said that a DB's job is not to always force turnovers, is to knock down passes. But you can't argue with a guy that can take advantage and make 10 and pull down 10 picks from those passes. So, congrats to Donald for winning. I just wish Xavier Howard could have run away with the award. And then Coach of the Year was, it was a close. It's actually a tie. And I will be tiebreaker for that. And I don't know if we have a tiebreaker for that. I think we had a lot of people vote, but it was a tie between your two guys. It was Kevin Stefanski and Ron Rivera, both sharing 4 votes between them. The other nominees were Brian Flores, Sean McDermott, and Bruce Arians.
All right, how are we gonna break this tie here? We gotta figure out a way to break. How about we do this? How about we do this? Juan, you didn't vote?
I did vote.
Okay, so how about we do this? 30 seconds each to deliberate for each guy. Juan, you pick the winner.
Okay, go.
Darren, by all means.
Okay, so as I stated before, when you have a Browns team with all the talent in the world, and last year they still could not get it all together, the guy comes in, gets the culture ready, gets the culture to a winning culture, and they know that they can do this. You use your most absolute best weapons in Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb to run down the field all over the league. These guys were absolute animals. And then the cherry on top, Baker Mayfield looked like an actual franchise quarterback later on in the year. Just the game alone versus the Ravens is proof enough.
All right, so for me, I'm going to have to say Stefanski didn't do that. They were already built that way. He just came in and essentially steadied the tide. Ron Rivera took that team from one of the worst teams in the league to winning they're winning their division. He overcame cancer in the same season. Do we forget that? He had Alex Smith come in, who's coming off who we never thought potentially would play another down of football, and won the division. And then they get to the playoffs against Tom Brady with a backup quarterback and almost won.
Time. It's a tough choice, but ultimately I'm going to have to give it to Rivera, mainly because do you know how difficult cancer is? And how
it's cancer. You can't beat cancer and not win.
Beat cancer now, but
I understand.
Well, look, consider this: you're coaching
a football team.
I've heard from personal testimony from a lot of coaches. They literally sleep in their offices sometimes just to do their job. Imagine doing that and going through chemo. I'm sorry, you can't. There's no one else that can ever give that award.
And holding the team together at that.
Exactly.
Even and with your first round pick out.
In your first year.
And now we have our final 2 awards of the night. I wanted to pair these two together because if you really think about it, both kind of like symbolize the importance that each one has to their team with regards to progress, success, and just overall status. It's Comeback Player of the Year and the NFL MVP. So, Avery, you have the floor.
I just spoke of him in my recent rant about Coach Ron Rivera. His quarterback, Alex Smith. Again, we didn't think that he would play another down of football. And the fact that he came in and played well and got his team to a position to win the division, and they did, to me, I'm sorry, you cannot overlook that guy. He came in and steadied the tide with a team that we all said, wow, this team has potential. There's something missing. And they finally made the switch to Alex Smith. And he took over and led them to where they needed to be. He did just enough to get them to win the division, to get that team during a year where we had the pandemic, during a year where they were going into the year with a new name and some turmoil in the offseason. It gave their fans something to look forward to. and it was a beautiful story at that. Comeback team of the year, Washington football team. Simple as that.
Yeah. And your MVP pick?
My MVP pick. I'm going to go with. Are you ready?
He's not going against the grain.
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes?
Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
And here's the reason why I say Patrick Mahomes over Aaron Rodgers. He didn't miss a beat, man. He didn't miss a beat. It was like, why is he so good? It was like, literally, why is he so good? He did everything right. It's like there was nothing you could do to stop him. And the evidence is in the fact he's in the Super Bowl again. There was nothing you could do to stop him. I love what Aaron Rodgers did. He played phenomenally, and I would give him a lot of credit on the fact that during that stretch where his defense was playing really, really bad and they were giving up a lot of points, he steadied the tide and still offensively was putting up a phenomenal season. He didn't turn the ball over, but that's typical Aaron Rodgers. He has the lowest interception ratio in NFL history still. So I love Aaron Rodgers, and he played phenomenal this year. But I don't hate Aaron Rodgers. He's actually one of my favorite players ever. I think he's the most talented quarterback. I think Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback to ever play the game of football. Yes, even over Patrick Mahomes. But I would have to give it to Patrick Mahomes, only because, like I said, I can't see it. And with that being said, I say, psych! It's Aaron Rodgers. Are y'all serious? It's Aaron Rodgers. Like I just said, with all that defense, that stretch where the defense was playing horrible, touchdown to interception ratio, the fact that Devontae Adams was hurt, the fact that Aaron Lazard was hurt, the fact that he literally had to makeshift, the fact that he did all of this, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's the MVP of the league. I love you, Patrick. I'm sorry, but it's Aaron Rodgers. You got Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and all these. Aaron Rodgers was phenomenal.
You think you're slick. You think you're slick, don't you? You think you're slick.
Sorry.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Jerome. Yeah. Listen, like I said, I'm sorry for the bait and switch, but no, seriously. It's
if I was producing this show, I'd kick you off this stream so quick. Darren, don't bait and switch me here, man. Just give me your picks.
I'll make it simple for you. They're exactly the same. You can't fight Alex Smith as comeback player of the year. The guy was told, first off, we're taking your leg. Second off, he had it infected, and they still said we have to take the leg. Somehow, this guy, after almost 2 years, 18 surgeries, is back playing football, and not only playing football, but playing and winning a team to a division. How? I truly was one that thought it was over for Alex Smith. So to even see him step onto the field, that got my nomination. When he won and kept that team in it and won the division, people, it might be one of the worst divisions, but it's still hard to win an NFL division. The man did it, and I got to commend him, Alex Smith. I'm not doing a bait and switch. It's Aaron Rodgers all the way. We're not playing this game. It's 1-2-1 quarterback rating, highest in the league. Quarterback, another quarterback rating, 84, highest in the league. The guy had Devontae Adams with 18 touchdown passes. He still threw 30 more. To who? Lazard, Tanyan, who he made almost a household name this year with 10. The guy is an absolute stud.
Who's a Pro Bowl snub.
Listen, he makes that team go. It's not about Aaron.
with
It's
Tanya.
not. If you replace any other quarterback in the league with Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers would not be the same. There's not too many people that can do what Aaron Rodgers does. Period.
So you guys just basically said it Aaron Rodgers and Alex Smith both won MVP and Comeback Player of the Year, respectively. Surprisingly, Smith was not an overall winner, though. There were 3 votes, one for Ben Roethlisberger, one for Matthew Stafford, which I thought was curious, and then another. Darren, who was the other?
Someone decided to just be a little funny, and guess who they picked? Alex Smith as the other. So Alex Smith, you won it for us. It had to be you, man.
So it is
12 of the 14. He almost had a unanimous. I'm surprised it didn't go.
Who's the dude that did that? Honestly.
Oh man.
Also, yeah. Oh, you know what? No, we'll keep anonymity. Tell me behind the scenes, because who's a ridiculous fool? Who's a ridiculous guy out there that thinks that's funny, man? Come on. Let's get Alex Smith's award. Huh?
That was funny.
Okay.
Other Alex Smith.
Avery, I was sent it was you, but we're not going to dive into it right now. We're going to really dive into our final topic. We have 10 minutes left on the clock before we finish out here today. And it is, it's what everyone else is talking about. It is the big game, because we don't want to be copyrighted by the NFL right now. Yes, the big game that is happening between 2 football teams on Sunday at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. It is honestly, it's the dream battle, ladies and gentlemen. It is the dream battle at quarterback. At least you have the arguable GOAT, that is Tom Brady, versus the up and comer that is possibly the next Michael Jordan of whatever sport, Patrick Mahomes. So, I've offered my thoughts only in the sense that the quarterback battle is going to be amazing. That's what I want to see. That's all I'm there for. I don't care about Ndamukong Suh. I don't care about Antonio Brown, Devin White. I don't care about Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Jeff Schwartz, or Tyrann Mathieu. I'm only here for Brady versus Mahomes. That's all I want. And I'll just give my pick real quick about it, because I'll let y'all have at it right afterwards. I'll also give Darius's pick real quick. I'm calling it 35-31 as Tom Brady gets his 7th win, his 7th ring. He establishes himself as the GOAT for Tampa. And Darius actually flips it. He's taking KC over Tampa 38-31. And now, gentlemen, I hand the debate over to you. I'll give it to Darren first and end it on Avery.
I'm here for everyone but the quarterbacks. I'm sorry. I already seen this matchup multiple times, and we see what plays out. I wanted the State Farm Bowl. That's what I wanted. I wanted the State Farm Bowl. So I'm here for everyone else. I'm here for the defense. I'm here for Devil White. I'm here for Carl Buntington. I'm here for Carl Davidson. These guys are the reason the Bucs are still in it as well. Just because Tom Brady went there does not mean that the defense did not help immensely for that team. And then on the offensive side for the Chiefs, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. 2 guys that have done something most people don't do. They both had 100 yards in 2 back-to-back playoff games. You know how hard that is to do for guys? And not only that, but they've been dominant all playoff long. And not only that, but they have their first-round pick back. Clyde Allaire Jr. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm sorry.
No,
but yes, listen. The guys, it's everyone else. We know what the quarterback's going to do. They're going to play fine. It's the other guys we need to worry about. Those other guys cannot stop or get over on the other. It's no point. But my picks, very, very simple. I'm throwing it back to the Eagles Super Bowl. Brady loses this one again. He throws for 500 yards again and still loses 41-38.
Man, oh man. All right. Well, here's what I have to say. You know what? I'm going to read what I had to say about it. I'm just going to read it because I had this conversation with a couple friends. And here's what I said. You guys are missing the real matchup here. The real matchup is going to be between the weapons on offense versus the defenses, not the quarterbacks. On the Chiefs side, you got Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Nicole Hardman, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Sammy Watkins, and Le'Veon Bell. Last time they played, Hill had 200 plus yards in the first quarter. Over 200 yards in the first quarter. Then on the other side, you've got Godwin. You've got Evans. You've got Gronk. You've got Brady. You've got Fournette. You've got Jones. You've got Brown. And you've got Cameron Brate, who has low-key had a pretty solid year.
Don't forget LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's going to come down to the DBs and linebackers. Who can come up with that key stop? My money is on the Chiefs, though. And for a couple of reasons. Number one, they were just in the championship. They know what it is. Outside of Tom Brady and Gronkowski, not too much championship experience on the Buccaneers roster. Number two, the Honey Badger. Do not be surprised if he ends up with the MVP of this Super Bowl. He's that good. Number three, and this is my dark horse, one of my dark horse MVPs. Sammy Watkins. Go check his numbers from last year's Super Bowl. He's the forgotten weapon. When you want to double Tyreek, when you want to double Travis, when you want to double Nicole Hardman, it's like, okay, Sammy Watkins. Check his numbers from last year's Super Bowl. And then number four, the Chiefs have better pass catchers out of the backfield. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And then my second dark horse for MVP, Le'Veon Bell. Let's not forget that he's got a chip on his shoulder. He is upset, and I'm pretty sure this would be the game that Andy Reid would be like, you know what?
Time to let out Bell.
Just like Williams went off last year, Le'Veon Bell, we might allow you to be that Williams of last year's Super Bowl. So I have it a very, very similar score to Darius's, 38-30 Chiefs.
Now, I will say one thing. I really don't care who wins this game. I just want a good high stakes game going on here.
Facts. I want to see fireworks.
However, I'm looking at Tom Brady to be the Kawhi Leonard of football. What do I mean by that? Kawhi is a dynasty killer. He's a three-peat killer. He and the Spurs took down LeBron and the Heat from achieving a three-peat in the late aughts. And with the Raptors, he stopped the three-peat with the Golden State Warriors. And Tom Brady, he stopped the repeat champion against the Seattle Seahawks in 2014. So I'm hoping I can see that again. The prevention of a dynasty in Tampa with a Bucs win.
I don't know if that's preventing a dynasty because Patrick Mahomes is still going to be there. They can still become a dynasty. The Patriots were considered a dynasty and they didn't win every Super Bowl. So
no, but they did win it back-to-back once.
This is true, true. But I just don't know. I just don't know, man.
It's all right. It's fair to say everyone but me is picking the Chiefs, so I guess that makes the Air It Out podcast official pick the Kansas City Chiefs to win Super Bowl. But I'm sticking with my Bucs. Well, not my Bucs. I'm sticking with the Bucs to go with it. I know Tom Brady was a Patriot, and I'll always not like the Patriots, but any excuse to tarnish the legacy of Bill Belichick is okay, man.
Oh, man. Hey, last hot take. Last play of the game. Brady goes to get the game-winning drive. He gets a pick six. Tyrann Mathieu wins the MVP.
Okay, that's a hot take.
Oh, and trust me, it will look just like that Peyton Manning pass when he was with the Colts versus the Saints in the Super Bowl.
So just that Tyrann Mathieu like the dude that made that pick six.
Mm-hmm.
Bonus points. Anyone that can guess who that was?
I know. Anybody else know?
What was the question?
Porter.
The dude. It was Tracy Porter. Yeah.
Oh, Porter. Yeah.
All right.
Listen, I'm like, I can't. All I can say is this: I cannot wait for the game. My hot take is, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pull the trigger. Sammy Watkins will win the MVP of this Super Bowl.
We got Sammy Watkins winning the MVP. We got Tyrann Mathieu winning the MVP for your hot takes. For me, I'm just calling it that Brady is preventing a back-to-back win. That's my
also, and it'll all be for naught. Second hot take. Antonio Brown sets a Super Bowl record for catches.
If he even plays,
I'm fine with it.
he's limited. He's limited in practice right now.
I'm fine with it. He's going to try to pull.
He's going to play.
You know what?
He's going to try to pull.
I don't think Antonio Brown finishes because I have a personal vendetta against Antonio Brown. But anyway, I'm gonna give. He won't break the record, but he'll lead both teams in catches in the Super Bowl. Mike Evans. I give it to Mike Evans.
All right, I can dig it.
All right, guys. Well, any other hot takes? Any other spicy Sixers versus Nuggets? Oops, wrong sport. I mean, look. When was the last time the first seed in an NBA playoff actually ever made a difference?
Miami.
Outside of the Lakers.
Miami.
Yeah, fair point.
That's right, Heat Nation. Yeah, you heard it. What you talking about? That's right.
Here we go.
Yeah. Alabama kid, Atlanta kid, and Miami kid. You know what? I'm done here. We're done here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the end of the Air It Up podcast. To everyone who tuned in today. Thank you to all of our staff members who voted in our NFL honors picks. Thank you to everyone who tuned in and submitted us a bunch of comments and a bunch of questions for us to give. Sorry we ran it long. Sorry it took so long for us to hop on. It's a crazy day, a crazy scheduled day for everyone involved. So, we always want to try to be here to make content for you guys and provide a little bit of a sunshine and a little bit of a distraction from the craziness of the world going on outside. And you guys give us that outings for us, just for letting us broadcast to you in the first place. So thank you for everyone that tuned in. Thank you to everyone that follows every show, man. Every show.
Hashtag 350.
First game of the year. I'm putting it up. Hashtag 350 for them all, baby. First game of the year.
In any case. And thank you for everyone that tuned in for a great football season. 2020 was a unique season in and of itself, but it was great in every spurts and every complication that it came with. So thanks to everyone that follows on our social media. On Instagram, it's Inside the Hashes. On Twitter, it's at Inside Hashes. And on Facebook, it is Inside the Hashes, a football group. You can also check out our audio podcasts and audio interviews on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor, as well as on YouTube for our player interviews, Madden YouTube gameplay, and live streaming podcast broadcasts. And also, guys, check us out on Discord. Join the conversation. Join the football conversation, guys. We want to hear from you just as much as you like hearing from us. It's at all levels of the sport: high school football, college football, D3, D2, D1, Arena Football League, if it's even still around, the German Football League. Lamarcus calling you out on that one, man. And also the NFL, of course, guys. That's what we do it. That's what we live for. We love hearing from you, and we love debating with you. So go join our Discord. You have no excuse not to at this point. For Avery Collins, for Derek Braxton, shout out to Darius Riddick, who couldn't join us here today. For Jerome Jones in the background, my name is Juan Pablo Godin Camargo. This is the Air It Out podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Matt Ryan for president.
Trust me, whoa.